Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk. Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown. Center for Spiritual Living Denver. Unity of Garden Park. New Thought Philadelphia. The Sunshine Cathedral. Unity of Savannah. And the Ohm Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network. And now, let's experience Center for Spiritual Living Midtown.
But anyway, the theme, of course, is embracing the inner edge. And my talk is living on the inner edge and how the Beatles shared their love and enlightenment with the masses, unafraid of potential consequences. And a video will be shown at the very end of my talk so you can get the full impact of the Beatles' courage and strength and their belief in doing things the right way. So let's begin with the edge is not the limit. It's not a stopping point. It's a doorway or an entrance. This is where real growth begins as we lean into introspection and self-acceptance, and also look at those internal uncomfortable places and sometimes comfortable places holding us back from enjoying life. This is where we stretch our consciousness and align ourselves with a greater knowing about who we truly are with God works for our greatest and highest good. We who practice science of mind principles know that God is always present. There is no spot where God is not, always working in and through us to assist us in that which we desire. So one of my favorite quotes is from William Faulkner, the Nobel Prize-winning novelist. And he states, "You cannot swim to new horizons. You cannot swim to new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore. You cannot swim to new horizons until you have courage to lose sight of the shore." He emphasizes the importance of taking risks and stepping out of your comfort zones to achieve personal growth and innovation. It's a leap of faith. It's taking a leap of faith. How many times have you taken a leap of faith and you were amazed at how easy it was? And then you questioned yourself, why didn't I do that sooner? Anybody? I know some of you have. I know I have. And it's probably not going to be the last time. So what is my special secret? It is treatment. And those in the viewing audience who are not familiar with treatment, it's affirmative prayer. It's not just asking. In science of mind, it's knowing. And one must get personally involved with treatment to demonstrate results. For instance, I remember when I was a social work intern and I needed to have an internship, and there was one available at the hospice near my home. So I hope you're there. I went out for a little bit there. And when I did, I went to the building. I sat there in my car. I closed my eyes and I did treatment because I knew I was going into a place where people were getting end-of-life care. I knew I wanted to walk in those doors with confidence and courage. And I knew I wanted to have the perfect interview. And I wanted to walk out with an internship. And I did. One thing that you didn't know, I had a fear of death. Yes, I was going to face my fear and work with people who were dying. After my internship, I'll let you know something. I got a job there as the social worker of that particular hospice. Fortunately, my favorite minister, Reverend Kennedy Schultz, treated for me back in 1982 to overcome the fear of death. And I still have his letter. Likes to write. I walked through those doors at hospice with a greater consciousness. As I aligned myself with God, I wasn't afraid. And I learned that I loved hospice and still do. Reverend Kennedy Schultz also treated for the right and perfect position for me because I was dealing with a lot of doubt at one time regarding my profession. So I had a lot of skills and talents. A year later, after Reverend Schultz treated, I started taking courses at the Hypnosis Motivation Institute, which was a state-approved school by the Department of Georgia, the Department of Education in Georgia. The training was all psychology and no math. Went out. I also became one of their instructors. Yeah. I have been in practice for over 40 plus years. Boy, that Kennedy was good with his treatments. God worked through him and through me so I would know the truth about myself. Yes, I did the work. It was another door that opened. So what did it take for me to change? Having faith in signs of mind principles, believing, expecting, accepting. That if I could conceive it, I could achieve it. I acted bravely and with courage. What the mind can conceive, a person can achieve. And as a matter of fact, that's on not only, it's on Kennedy Schultz's letterhead. This is another letter that I received by him. It's a couple of pages. As I said, he liked to write. So we can change our mind and keep it changed. Sometimes it's not easy. And that's why we practice daily, aligning ourselves with God. Remember, and I don't quote the Bible. I'm not a Bible quoter, really. But I do quote this: never will I leave you nor forsake you. So if you have a challenge or an issue, choose someone or more than someone to be on your team that can help you rather. Personally, I use treatment. I use ministers and rabbis. I am Jewish. Practitioners and friends. Family, of course. And there's my phenomenal husband, Alton. That's my go-to person. And my precious sister, Sherry. Also, great books. I've got one right here. It's Creative Mind and Success by none other than our founder, Ernest Holmes. Also, Creative Mind. Love this. This is really old. This is 1982, but I still read it. And there are many talks in here by Ernest Holmes, Raymond Charles Barker, Kennedy Schultz, Robert Bitzer, Lynn Osborne, who is still, I believe, still practicing in Washington State, Reverend Lynn Osborne. So another thing that we want to do is recognize that we have friends, we have family, all these people that we can talk to. Reach out and touch. They will help you. They will assist you. Not only are there books that you can read, but there are also things on YouTube that you can watch. There's a lot of Science of Mind on YouTube that you can watch. And we need this assistance because what keeps us stuck is negative feeding of our own minds. That's giving your power away. It keeps you stuck, stagnant, and not feeling good about yourself. So this is just a taste of the edge is not the limit. It is a doorway. And now I'd like to present the story of the Beatles, who, living on the inner edge, shared their love and enlightenment with the masses, unafraid of the consequences. Diego, take it away.
Didn't know that the Beatles were big supporters of the civil rights movement. In 1964, the Beatles launched their first tour in the U.S., and one of their first stops was the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. This was a segregated event, so whites had to sit in one section, blacks had to sit in a different section. The Beatles showed up and they pretty much said, "What's this?" And the promoter says, "This is just how it is." Well, we don't perform in front of segregated audiences, so either it's integrated or we're not hitting the stage. The promoters caved, the audience was integrated, and the Beatles performed. After that, some of their other shows were also being promoted as white-only events. And again, the Beatles responded the same way. Either it's integrated or you don't get the Beatles. Eventually, they actually put a clause into their contract that stated that they only perform in front of integrated audiences. They also didn't stand for any of their fans to use racist or hateful language as well. John Lennon often spoke out publicly against racism and also showed his support for the civil rights movement. The Beatles also spoke openly about how their music is heavily influenced by black artists such as Muddy Waters, Chuck Berry, Motown, and Little Richard. And this was during a time where a lot of artists were benefiting from the influence of black music, but they didn't give them any credit. Paul McCartney wrote a song called Blackbird. Blackbird is a slang term for black women in Great Britain. In the song, he talks about letting the blackbird sing, meaning let black women have their voice and have their freedom. I have a lot of respect for this because during this time, being an ally meant that you really had to put something on the line. But that didn't stop the Beatles. And they even said, we'd much rather lose money than perform in front of a segregated audience. I had no idea. Big shout out to the Beatles. This is dope to me.
That's a wonderful video. And somebody sent that to my sister. She sent it to me and I said, gotta have that. Gotta have that. They could have lost thousands of dollars, the Beatles. This is right in 1964 when the civil rights movement had already started and there was supposed to be integration. The Beatles sang 12 songs in 30 minutes to a crowd of thousands of people who are not segregated. But integrated. I'm sorry, it's a tearjerker for me. So let's get back to this. I have another something that I'd like to show you. This is a friend of mine, Joy Goodman. She won a trip to Italy and she went by herself because some people that she asked couldn't go. So she had mustered up all her courage, all her Science of Mind principles, because she does attend Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, and rolled up her sleeves and she went. And she had a wonderful time, the time of her life. But what did it take? It took her believing, accepting, and expecting that she could. And she took that step because the door was open. And it was beautiful. So kudos to Joy. And this is what's written on her bookmarker. Come to the edge, he said. We can't. We are afraid, they responded. Come to the edge, he said. We can't. We will fall, they responded. Come to the edge, he said. And so they came, and he pushed them, and they flew. This is by Guillaume Apollinaire. So, living on the inner edge can not only be fruitful and scary at sometimes, but you take that leap of faith, it can also bring you freedom. And so it is. Thank you for watching and continue to watch. Hallelujah.